you finish a character in 3 months, and then end of the production, you have to redo the whole thing because there's an effect, it doesn't work on it. UVs are not matching, you have to make second UVs, cloth is not, so it's not done really until the end, Nothing is done. It's just everything is temporary in the game until they say it's done, let's ship it.
Like what you said about like it's going to be done when the game ships, like I think that's actually very true, by the way. I think that's a great insight. But technical departments, they absolutely hate when you say that to them. Like I do find that because I do a lot of programming right now on the side, I do find that it is a very different mentality where you really like for things to start and things to stop. And when something is like has ended, you want to put it aside and move on to something else because it takes a lot. It's very complicated to go back within something that had been done previously there and kind of tweak it, But when you're doing more creative, like artistic stuff, it's like, there's a texture there. Let me just tweak it a little bit, and then you sort of. And it's so like easy to just open Photoshop and just open like a texture or, oh, sorry, did I say Photoshop? That's still like 2010 or like something of texturing there, but
Substance
like you open
Painter.
like Substance Painter, yeah, and then you just like tweak something and you just re-export it. You see a little bit of geometry, like I just want to go and I just want to cut something in there, like very, very quickly there. But like other departments, it's like rigging. The moment that you change the number of vertex on like a mesh, it's like suddenly they have to like redo their whole job, So they don't like that. Yeah.
It's interesting because you said riggers. As a character artist, I remember myself, like every time I have to change something, like 2 months after I'm done with the character, I come back, I'm like, oh, this cloth doesn't match, or the shoes are not done properly, I need to change something. And then you tell them I have to change it, they're like, oh man, again.
On a video game project, there is a lot of departments where I find that it's healthy for there to be a certain tension there,
Yes.
Like between rigging and like character art, it's like if you just let people who do character art do whatever they want, then you're going to wind up having characters where everything is kind of penetrating all of the time, and where you have like huge textures that really slow down the game. Rigging there though, if you had only riggers and if they always had their way, then somehow you would always have characters whose design is very watered down because they are very afraid of things clipping through, So you really need both sides to have healthy conversations like that and sort of disagree on a regular basis for there to like reach a middle ground that is both very appealing for the consumer from an artistic standpoint, but that also kind of makes sense from a technical point.
Yes.
So like I find that there are departments like that where having some like healthy tension between the department makes a lot of sense. And I guess I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, if you think similarly, or if perhaps.
No, I agree.
That could be true.
The only thing is, the only issue I have, everything you said is correct, right? I can totally feel it because I was in the, I worked on games and stuff. So what you said is correct. Sometimes it becomes a bit, depends on the person on the other side. Because I'm myself, like if something is wrong, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm gonna go to the person and say, hey, this is wrong. We need to change it. Because in society we are not really so open. No one is really direct. No one is really so honest. Everyone is just using white lies every day, which I'm against it. I don't like white lies. I like to be like more transparent. And that makes it hard to communicate with people because they're like, oh, this guy's an asshole. He's just saying whatever he wants. And it's like a philosophical situation. How do I say it? If I give you a white lie, then if you find out about it, then later you're going to be upset. If I don't tell you the truth, you're not ready for it,
Yeah.
And
I think that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually had to deal with this a lot myself. And like I said, some people are grown up. They're like 45 years old, but he's not grown up or she's not grown up. They're still kids. And it becomes a personal issue. Like it's good to have some disagreements to make it better. But sometimes I had to deal with this, that people are like, oh, why you're doing this? And then they go talk on your back about, because it happened to me. And I'm like, dude, I'm just doing this because it needs to be done. Some people don't how do I say, like they turn it into something unhealthy.
Yeah. Oh,
which
for
is,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's not the fun part. And I'm like, I shake my head and I'm like, why?
I agree.
Why? There's no reason for this.
Yeah, there's a way to disagree in a way that's very constructive, in a way that's very polite and respectful. And, like disagreeing is just about, essentially just being a little bit skeptical and really trying to find through healthy conversations the best approach to things, and just accepting that we as humans are flawed and have biases, and that like sort of ideas need to be talked about so that the best idea can be found. But like disagreement isn't about being mean. It's not about trying to act as if you're superior to someone else. It's not about trying to denigrate someone else. All of these are ways of disagreeing that are just malicious. That's like just being a dick, really. And like people shouldn't be dicks. Like that should be a golden rule. If everyone kind of respected that rule, I'm convinced there would be a lot less issues in the games industry there.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing you said biases. There is a research that shows that people are biased about themselves. This is normal, right? I mean, we already know this. But in a group teamwork, everyone thinks that they did more work than the person next to them. This is how they feel. And they did a survey, majority feel this way, like almost everyone. And when you say biased, I think it's part of the survival. Like we are biased because we need, our survival depends on being biased. So we can, like imagine if we go back in time, I think we are smart, we have evolved, but some of our root, DNA, genes and whatever, they're not evolved to where we are because technology is growing fast, communication is growing fast,
I agree. Yeah.
And I think sometimes we are still deep inside in our genes, we are still back in the Stone Age, do what I say. I don't know if you had to deal with managers like that. Like they say, yeah, what I'm saying is right, let's do it this way. There's no other way. And this happened to me many times,
Not with managers, actually. I had issues like that with colleagues.
Colleagues
that were just acting superior. And I don't know if that's because I'm a woman, or because I'm trans, or these sorts of things. But I've had issues like that with colleagues, people who were technically at my level in terms of skill, or rather like in terms of like where we are in terms of the hierarchy of the studio. I had that issue more with people like that than with managers. It's like managers, most of them that I've worked at like everywhere, really, they were all usually pretty cool guys, and girls too, of course. I've had that issue more with like people who I feel haven't completely grown up yet.
Yes.
And
man-child.
were usually very low on the hierarchy.
Yep, that's true. And there's a guy, I don't know, do you know about Ray Dalio, the hedge fund manager?
I don't know him, unfortunately, no.
So this guy, he has a lot of good stuff. He has a book called Principles, and he posts. This guy is a multi-billionaire hedge fund manager. He's not talking about money only, but the lessons that he shares is just amazing when you read the captions. Or there's a book that I'm not done with it. I'm still reading it. He gives you a good perspective. One thing he says is like, it doesn't matter. I don't know exactly the same sentence, but it's like, it doesn't matter what you think about yourself, because at the end of the day, others are going to look at you and you're going to communicate with others. So you have to be open to show them what you are and listen to them and see what they want, especially in teamwork, right? I mean, it's like let's say one of the things I had in the past in the meeting, I said, can we change this? Like in one job, I'm just giving an example. And then someone said, why? Someone who was supposed to be doing the job. And everything I said, there was a pushback. No, we shouldn't do it this way. And then at the end turned out to be the way that I said was the easiest way. Not because I said it, but because that was the easiest way we found. And then it happened another time, but because I had more experience, when someone said, let's do it this way, I said, okay, let's try it and see how it works. If it works, let's do it that way. I don't care how you do it. But I learned this myself the hard way when I was younger. Listening to others gives you a good perspective of who you are, because oftentimes people might actually see you as someone who you're not. See you the wrong way. Maybe someone who the inner person inside you could be different.
I do feel the need to defend most people who work within video game studios, because most of the people I've actually met during my jobs were actually
me too.
Quite fun people, and they were completely fine, and like most people who work within video game studios are well-adjusted individuals, but
yes,
it's just that in there you do have a few people who somehow, even though they're a small minority, they still seem to take all of the space, and so I have to say that it's true that there are people like that within video game studios. Like people who don't work within video game studios, they could think that sometimes
every job is like that.
Perhaps people are like, well, I really can't speak about other jobs outside of the game studios too, of course, but like I read, let's say, and especially right now, like everything that's going on at Blizzard and like stuff like that, and I really hope that they get their shit together there, It's like there's definitely people like that in video game studios, but at the same time, most people are still pretty cool, So
depends
it's
on
important not to throw the whole industry.
I mean, it's mostly like the way what I'm talking about is just to learn something from it, right? If the whole industry was bad, I wouldn't continue. I mean, I'm tired a bit overall. But it's not like every studio. Like I had a lot of good experience. I always say that because of this industry, I was able to move. I was able to change. I was able to achieve the things I wanted to achieve. So the good side always, it's actually much better than the negative side. But sometimes sometimes like something really small can actually overturn everything, turn it into an evil situation, Like even if it's one person or two person, like you said, they can take the whole space and destroy everything. I had to deal with that kind of situation myself. Like it was, it took me like years to get over. Yeah.
You don't need there to be a lot of people doing that to really just completely screw you up, It's like
because it's a psychological game.
Person, can just take like all of the space in your mind and then suddenly like really bring it down really, really tremendously, So you don't need a lot of there doesn't need to be a lot of people like that within a video game studio to really make the place quite toxic, So it's a hard problem to solve. No, go for it.
Go.
All right. Everyone, hey, I just had a great conversation with Siamak, and we can't just stop laughing right now. I think we talked for over 2 hours or something like that about so many different things. Siamak, do you have anything to say on a conversation?
I'm just gonna explode from laughing, to be honest. No, it was great. I think you guys should watch it. It was great. Check out both channels. I'm crying because we laughed a lot to record this, and it was a great conversation. Lots of deep thoughts and ideas, and I loved it. It's your duty to subscribe to 2 channels now.
See you guys.
See you guys.